I want to say thank you to Regal Cinema for allowing me to watch the movie Pan with the special movie ticket for the 3D show. Um, with that taken care of, let's go into why I was there in the first place. To do a review on the movie Pan. Everyone was very excited about this film when it was made, and I said, okay, well, this is Joe Wright did the screenplay, and the screenplay is fine. The writing was fine. I didn't have a problem with either one of those. The problem that I had with the movie is its lead actor as Pan. The kid has the look. The tone was too UK for me. I mean, the dialogue is totally London, England. And some of these words, kids are not going to even understand them. I'm like, what? I had to say, what in the world are they talking about? The conversation was going so fast and using words that I had to really look some of these words up. So this was basically targeted for the UK audience early on. And Pan, the actual character, comes off as brattish. He's in an orphan home. His mother leaves him there. And he comes off as rather bratty. You know, I felt it funny they kept using 1990 songs when they were in Neverland. Like Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. That was funny. But the actual, what can I say here? The actual tone of Peter being like not this, he really wasn't like he was a good kid. He was a hard-headed orphan, didn't want to listen, always getting his buddy in trouble, basically, doing stuff he shouldn't have been doing. And it's like this nun at these nuns at this orphanage. It's like a slumlord orphanage. Like, why in the world would she leave him here? You know, and she was selling kids to these pirates from Neverland. They kept bringing her money, and then they'd kidnap them and take them to Neverland. And when they go to Neverland, they're basically put into another form of slavery, of hard labor, but they're out of the hard life of orphanage. So it's like, but yeah, we're going to work you to death, and because Blackbeard needs these fairy dust, these fairy cubes or whatever to help keep him young. Because he's really super old, but this thing gives him youth. This fairy dust stuff that they have in the mines. Now, they're fighting the fairies, the protectors of the tribes, and they fight with Blackbeard's men, and it is totally nuts because as the movie plays out, you come to find out Peter Pan is the boy who could fly, is supposed to be the one to take out Blackbeard, and Captain Hook is his friend as they start off as buddies in this adventure, and you get to meet Tiger Lily, but you don't feel a connection or even a concern or care for Peter because he starts off as such a brat, you almost think that he deserves everything he's getting. And it's like, well, you deserve it. You know, you just don't listen. You're hard-headed. You're questioning stuff. You just got there. And you're already trying to tell people, explaining stuff to you, and you still being like a turd about it. He was arrogant. He just was... I just think the attitude of Pan would just totally turn people off. Now, visually, in 3D, it's amazing to look at. You know, a lot of kids will like it. You know, it was some scenes in there that I liked that I'm like, hey, this might be too tough for some kids. I actually like this, that they put that in the movie, you know. Some scenes are pretty tough. But Pan is not one of those movies that is going to break the bank. I think Hotel Transylvania 2 will have nothing to worry about with this Pan movie. They may make their money back, but I wouldn't go out to see it. I mean, I could wait for it to come on video or not. You know, I apologize to Rick. Thank you for inviting me out, but I got to give you my honest opinion on the movie, and it's a subpar movie, basically. I don't want to tell any more about it without poking holes at certain things that happen in the movie that make me just say, well, it is a kid's movie. You know, well, this is a kid's movie. You know, but it's like so many times. How many times are you going to do it within a certain amount of scene? It's like the same scene, you know, and the bad guy's getting ready to kill somebody, and here comes somebody, bam. Bad guy's getting ready to kill somebody, and here comes the same time, bam. I mean, it happened like to the same person like 3 times within the next 5 minutes, as if it was edited terribly in that fight scene. And we understand it is a kid's movie, but adults are in there too. And I know somebody dropped the ball there. But overall, the casting was great. I give that A+, except for Peter, the guy who actually played Pan. Too arrogant for Peter Pan, I think. And he makes you not like him. So you're not really able to care anything about the kid. So, out of 4 stars, I give it 2. Now, let's move on to other films. Because I haven't done a movie roundup in a long time. So, let's go into Sicario. Sicario is Spanish for the word hitman. So it's a hitman film, but not like you're used to seeing. So Emily Blunt is this agent, and she's tracking down the Mexican cartel from Juarez, Mexico, and they're coming into Arizona, and they're catching a couple of houses that may have drug wonders in it, dead bodies everywhere. So she's just a door knocker, you know, and they want to put her into the major game of shutting down drug trafficking. And they have a hired Colombian, and what's his name, Del Toro, and he's what they would call a Sicario, a hitman. Now this hitman did this mafia Mexican drug lord from Juarez has done some very unsavory things to this man. And he is driven on revenge. Now, does he work for the government? Does he not work for government? The trailer did a very good job as painting this as a whole entirely different movie, which I felt was great, because I came in there thinking somebody was the bad guy and somebody else was the good guy, and we don't know who's who, but hopefully we'll find out. And what we came to find out was you had no idea what the movie was about going into it, even from seeing the trailers. The trailers just had you in suspense of making you think you knew what the movie was about. But in the end, I could not stand Emily Blunt's character. Repeatedly being shown things, and she's supposed to be the one that's chosen to come out and do these things and learn from these guys. She's supposed to be a liaison. She's there to observe and learn. She's all, what are we doing here? And taking orders, marching into places she ain't supposed to, and they're telling her not to. She's just going off her own. I'm like, she's not qualified to be out here, really. Like, what is she doing here? And the whole movie could have been named Dumb White Girl. It would have done, oh my God, it could have done the same numbers, probably even 30 times more. It would have been the #1 movie this week. And when nobody have argued with that title. Dumb White Girl. I would, right away, they'd be like, yeah, she's dumb. She's really, really dumb. Dumb White Girl, #1 movie of the year. Because it wouldn't have jarred this movie one bit. Because for the entire movie, she was a dumb white girl. And at the very end, she was a dumb white girl. And it got to the point of, what do you want out of this? In the very end, you rooting for them to put her out her misery through the entire movie. You just hoping a stray bullet just put her right out of her misery. That's how much time she was wasting of me sitting there watching her be dumb the entire movie. I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. Could somebody shoot her with their service weapon, please? Get her out this movie. Because she is killing it. We didn't really need her. The movie didn't really need her. But overall, this movie is good. Out of 4 stars, I'll give it 3.5. The only reason why it's not getting another half is because of her performance. Unless her role was just to be that stupid, dumb white girl. And they're going to say, well, that's kind of racist. Why she had to be white? Because she was actually white. And she was dumb. So she's a dumb white girl. And the black guy, he was just as dumb. Her partner. She wanted to drag him into it. She had no business dragging him into it. He could have stayed at home. And like he told her, hey, let's get out. Like a black person would tell you. It's time to go. But dumb white girl, no! I got to know. What you gotta know? I need to know what's going on. Alright. What's going on is you're gonna get a bullet in your back. Because you want to know. But here it comes. The black guy want to look out for her. And I'm like, alright, brother. See how long you last. Should have listened to your own advice. I'd have been at the crib watching Sports Center. Now, moving right along, we got the movie The Walk. It's based on a true story of a man who walked the Twin Towers. And he was from France. Great movie, great location to where they filmed it when they first started. The dialect from Jordan Levitt's, the one guy who only spoke French but only could speak numbers. You start seeing how the actual planning goes to actually walking the line. And what are the rules behind it? And what is the drive behind people doing this stuff? It did a great job of splicing the two while building a relationship between man and woman, him and her, and kind of his personality built on the relationship he had with people. He was always so confident and so sure of himself about everything. He never really doubted anything. He was always gung-ho. But he didn't know everything. And he had to figure out, like, okay, I don't really know everything. Maybe these guys have been doing it for a long time. Maybe I could get some help. But something would always have to go wrong for him to learn that mistake. And he had to acquire a lot of planning to just, even because they were still developing the towers when this was happening. And they had to go and get material on both buildings, be able to get a line going across, be able to support that line, and actually have him go out and walk it. And this is illegal. This wasn't like approved. The city would never approve anything like that. He did it for free. No, he wasn't being paid to do it. This was all part of his promotion. To come out here and do, he wanted to do this. I had a dream to put my wire 100 feet in the air and walk. So, watching this movie in IMAX 3D was too surreal for me. I was squirming in the chair like, man, get off that line, man. And it's a movie. And I just couldn't take it. I'm like, man, get to where you got to go, man, and get there. Just get off the rope. And then he want to play around. He want to sit on the ropes. And then you know something's finna go wrong. He injured his foot earlier. So his foot is bleeding. He telling everybody he all right. I'm like, yep, here we go. And I don't want to tell what happened, but The Walk is a very exhilarating movie. Probably not a movie you're going to watch 1,000 times when it come on, but it's definitely a great movie. I give it 3 stars out of 4. And let's move on to the next film. The Martian. Probably one of my favorites of the year so far. The reason why I like The Martian is because of the science, the intelligence. When they first get to Mars, you see that Matt Damon's character is a bit of a cocky. He's Matt Damon. So he's Matt Damon. Something happens in this big storm, so they've been told to evacuate the missions, cancel everything, get on the ship and come back, because if something happens to the ship, they're stuck. So it's like, let's just pack it up and get out of there. And one of the satellites blows up, and the wires whips a satellite into Matt Damon and knocks him out, so they thought he was dead. And with the storm, they couldn't really see him. So he was left for dead. And he had something poke him in the side for a piece of the antenna, but the blood and everything else sealed the suit. Sealed where the hole was in his suit, so he didn't lose any pressure from oxygen or anything else. The atmosphere didn't kill him. So he was okay. Now, here's the problem. He made it back. He's still alive. They're gone. They left him. And they're on about a 500-day trip back to Earth. He only got enough food in this place for maybe 30 days tops. And he's on Mars where nothing grows. So he has to try to, and he's a botanist. So he's got to try to grow food on a planet that basically doesn't have food. And it doesn't have water. So you get to learn how science and someone's intelligence, after thinking outside of the box and using what he had in that vessel to try to make himself stretch out those days. To where people was like, he would be dead, he'll be out of food. There's no way this could actually be happening to this guy, but he finds ways to make things happen with intelligence. But even as intelligent as you can be, things could always go wrong, even way out in space. At night, storms come, and any one thing can go wrong and he's dead. So every night you have to be absolutely careful about everything, the oxygen levels and have the place decompressurized, and he's still trying to communicate back to people on Earth. And then how are you going to say this guy when it takes years to get to this guy? So some major planning went to making this movie. But it was done very well, and I give it 4 stars out of 4. Matt Damon was great at being Matt Damon. Them trying to rescue him and find a way to get to him and save his life, that was definitely is exhilarating to go through. Jeff Daniels was great at his character, as everything he's ever played in his life. He was great at this. Shawato did a great job. Everybody nailed their performances. So definitely go check out these movies. It's finally good to see the good movies are coming back out, And let's not forget The Intern. Okay, The Intern is a movie with Robert De Niro and my God, how could I forget this lady? The girl who won an Oscar for just showing up for like a days of work. And I forgot this actress's name. She was in Love, Sex, and Other Drugs. And gosh. Well, anyway. Former Oscar winner. And she's in the movie. And the movie's about a guy who's in his 80s. He's basically retired. He worked at a printing company for like 40 some years. And here's this internet started business. And with this internet started company, it kind of grew into this major market thing where they're making all this money, but everybody's overworked. So they're hiring, they're doing some program where they're hiring some of the senior interns who have a lot of experience in the field. And they think it's good because they can advise some of the younger guys that they have there, because I don't think anybody's working there is probably over 30 except for those two. Everybody else is pretty much in like their 20s, and everybody is about online ordering stuff and how they're going to go to the warehouse to get stuff, and they're going to hire a CEO to kind of like take over the company while they kind of relax, and the CEO runs things from a business standpoint, because she really didn't have a CEO training. So the stockholders and people that's involved in this internet business is going to grow into something major. So they wanted her to, start recruiting the CEO. With Robert De Niro, who's had a lot of experience as far as running, being on time. He wears a suit every day. He's already organized, and since his wife passed, he's got nothing better to do. But he's come to find out, there's things in this movie I'm not going to tell you, but this guy makes their lives better. When they didn't really want this guy, I thought he was just another guy just there going to be like passing time. He's actually very knowledgeable and very helpful, and the movie's funny. Completely funny. So if you want a complete change of pace, this is it. Watch The Intern. Now we go from that to The Green Inferno. Eli Roth. Eli Roth is a very screwed up kid. You know how somebody's born with like just something wrong with him? That's Eli Roth. He wanted to do a psycho theme at his bar mitzvah when he was a kid. He was always in the strange type of movies. He's the guy that make you don't want to go travel. I was finna go to Europe, overseas, before the movie Hostel came out. I watched Hostel and said, I ain't going nowhere. They ain't gonna kidnap me and sell me on the market to some rich white dude can come in and torture me with a screwdriver. I'm like, that's not going down. So now I stayed at home. I'm like, unpack my bag. I ain't going nowhere. Now he comes out with The Green Inferno. And what happens is, he got no problem. I'm never going to Peru anyway. But the Peruvian the tribes that's in Peru, there's a war going on over there between them and the companies that want to come and renovate, from people who are expanding this into like a tourist area. The property becomes very valuable and rich. So they want to go knock down those areas, those trees and all the tribal things, and the tribe is fighting back against this militant operation where they hire these ex-military guys with all this experience, and the companies have all these billions of dollars, so they just hire these militants to come in and kind of like mow the area while they come in with the bulldozer. So this crew, these activists, wanted to get some attention to their cause. They go dress up like the guys that are there who are doing the work, and they go protest to try to fight for the tribe. And they were like, alright, they handcuff themselves or chain themselves to the bulldozers. You will not do this to these people. So they can get attention. They got their phones. This is my gun. So everything's going great. And then they're on the plane. They're celebrating. They're going home. Then the plane blows an engine. Boom. Then the plane crashes. Half these people getting torn up by the plane crash. So most of them are dead or chopped up or gone when the plane crashed. They get out the plane, then they just start getting hit by darts and falling out immediately. They don't even get a chance to say, what is this? They just drop. And the tribe finds them. Now they're wearing the same uniforms as the people that are trying to mow the tribe out of there. So the tribe believes they're the enemy. And they're there fighting for the tribe. And oh my God. This is something, if you just ate, you better let your food digest before you watch The Green Inferno. It's very graphic, very Ellie Roth, and that's the movie. So you try to piece everything else together from that. Now let's move on to the movie Everest, where this is the true story about what happened in, I think, 1996. When they went on top of Everest, this crew, and this was like the last crew that had like brutal losses, because there's always a trip up to Everest. People who go to Mount Everest are one thing, rich. Okay? No poor people climb Mount Everest. And they have these scouts who they have a route they normally take that gets them up there safely and get down safely. But there's no such thing really as safely. As Everest, everybody knows there's something that could go wrong. Every time. And something went wrong this time. They got hit with a major storm. It comes out of nowhere. And a lot of things go wrong on one tier. Then you go to the second tier where you can set up a base camp. They normally climb with oxygen tanks. Sometimes they stash oxygen up there so that they can have enough to survive and get around, and sometimes if you leave it up there, the lever can get frozen. Now if it gets frozen, now you're in deep trouble. But they had stashed tanks of oxygen up at the top. So you got all these things going for you. And all these people want to get to the top of this mountain just to say they did it and accomplished something in their lives. You got all these old rich men who just like, I gotta do it. This is what I always wanted to do. It's just like my bucket list. I gotta climb Everest. So all these guys are climbing the mountain to try to get up there. The problem most of them faced was coming back down. And that's what they say most people do. And it's just, watching this in IMAX is the best way to watch it. I can see watching it in a regular television screen, and you can see the scale of the mountains. You see everything clearly, and you go like, man, I better not see a black guy nowhere near this. Oh God, there's a black guy. What is he doing? Do not go out there. This is not for you. This is one movie you don't protest. Man, there was no black people in this movie. There's not supposed to be a black guy in this movie. He shouldn't be nowhere near Everest. We should know better than to be climbing Mount Everest. But then you get the amazing story of a man who wouldn't die too. So it was pretty interesting and sad. It had its moments. But Everest is definitely a must-see if you go into the movies. I'll give it 2 stars out of 3. And for Green Inferno and Intern, I give them both 2 stars. Intern, though, I can get 3. I liked it as a movie. I give it 3 stars. And for Green Inferno, I give it 2. My last movie, and then I'm going to let you go, is Black Mass. Johnny Depp as Whitey Bulger. Now, this is probably one of the movies I like to best because it's like true to form. Everything was gritty. It was called in the early 1950s 70s and 60s when Whitey Bulger was out making these moves, and how he went to war with the Italian mobs in Boston. He did not like the Italians coming in, taking over the city of Boston, the Saudi, you know, they little area where the Irish was. So they didn't like it at all. So the Irish was fighting back. And here's one of the guys they grew up with in Saudi who ended up working for the FBI. He had moved up to FBI, and then he's like, well, we trying to catch the Italian mob. What better than to have one of the thugs and one of the enforcers of Saudi that he grew up with? And Whitey Bulger's brother is a politician. So all the lines are blurred because they're like, look, your brother's a politician. We can't really see each other unless we go to mom's house for dinner. But other than that, we can't have any contact because... And Whitey knew this. It wasn't like he was offended. But here comes the FBI to him, his buddy. All three of them grew up together, so they have this relationship. And he's like, look, you work for us, and we'll help you do what you want to do anyway. You want to get the Italians. We want to get the Italians. You ain't really ratting on anybody. You helping us get them. Your enemy. So it ain't really ratting. So he looking like, okay, and he can do whatever he want to do. They just like, yeah, but you can't kill anybody. No killing. And you basically told a killer not to kill, and that wasn't going to go over well. And what Whitey Bulger did was like, well, what could they do to me? I'm helping them. So as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do and what I'm doing out here on the streets, you know, they got to keep me out here because I'm helping them out. So all he did was give them a little bit so he can go out and make moves on the street. And as the FBI was basically working for Whitey Bulger, basically. And when you look at it, they're moving around and moving the Italians out of Boston and running down, shutting them down, and Whitey's just expanding. He's going down to Florida making deals. He's making moves all over, and they're like, look, all these killings got your guy name on it. Like, look, I know he's supposed to be a big informant on it, but look, we can't turn our backs to some murders. This guy's killing and doing whatever he wants to do. You know, and Whitey, I mean, Johnny Depp is great when he gets in the character because he becomes the character. The dialogue is great. I mean, Joel Edgerton played a great role in that, and I think that, without a doubt, he's probably going to get nominated for an Oscar for playing that role as the FBI agent, because he's got the conflict at home with the wife who don't like Whitey Bulger. Then you got the conflict at the job who, like, look, man, we're doing this, we want to end this whole project, and for him, he don't want the project to end because he's helping Whitey and is giving him respect back home. You know, like, yo, I'm helping out one of my Saudis, you know, I'm still down even though I'm FBI. I'm still looked at with respect now, you know, so he wants that achievement, you know, and that approval from Whitey Bulger, you know, because Whitey was like one of the, even though he was the thug, he was the guy that they looked up to, that people feared. Yeah, so it made for a great movie, you know, so I was very impressed with how it went down. And I gave that Black Mass 4 stars. Easy 4 stars. And that's all for right now. I don't know how long this video is, but I tried to be short, but I'm out.